Worship leaders and tech directors, we don't have to suffer with bad live stream mixes anymore. And while there is no silver bullet that just makes everything sound better instantly, there are a lot of little regular bullets we can use, and delay is one of them. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Blueprint Sounds. My name is Nathan Smith. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to talk about delay in your live stream mix and how it can add a lot. If you haven't already, go back and check those first 2 weeks we did on Reverb. That's really important. It's part of the equation. And if you haven't already, go to blueprintsounds.com and get access to my free workshop, 5 Elements of a Full Sounding Worship Team. Because it doesn't matter how good your effects are, if your band isn't well arranged, you're going to have a hard time. But if your band is well arranged, mixing becomes a lot easier. Without further ado, let's jump into delay. All right, here we are. Tip 3 for don't fear effects in church. Last week, we talked about how 2 reverbs are better than 1. Well, this week, we're going to add a delay and make it even better, but we've got some work to do with our delay. So right now, I've just got my vocal and my delay soloed. I've taken off the reverb so you're not hearing it, and I got some work to do to dial in my delay. Here's what it sounds like right now. Right on my heart. And right. Okay, so a little bit unruly. Here's what I'm going to do. What I want for this delay, this is a band delay, meaning that everything is going to send a little bit to the delay unit, the snare drum, the vocals, the piano, all that type of stuff. I'm going to bring back my feedback first thing. The feedback is how many times you're going to hear that echo. I want what's called a slapback. I want one slapback. I want one delay that I can manage that's not going to be too crazy. So I'm going to put it at like 3%, 4%, something like that. The next thing I'm going to do, same trick as with the reverbs. If I didn't have the low cut and the high cut, you would hear all of the delay back every time. But I want it to be darker. I want it to be less obvious. So I'm going to take the low cut up, and I'm going to take the high cut down a little bit more. Something like that. And then finally, there's this thing called tempo sync. What that means is I know that this song is 69 beats per minute. So if I hit tempo sync, it is going to lock that into the tempo of my song. And then I'm also going to, with my different notes that I can choose from, I'm going to choose an eighth note because that happens quickly and it'll be less obtrusive. So for a fast song or probably 16th, eighth note is pretty good. And a quarter note would be a little bit more noticeable, but you can always test that out, in a virtual sound check and see what you think of that. So with those together, let's see what that sounds like. Right on my heart. So you notice that the echo is dark. That's because of the low cut and the high cut. The feedback is just one. It's that slapback thing. You only hear one echo. And it's in time now, whereas it didn't used to be in time. Tempo sync, and then I put in at an eighth note. That helped it all to move into the background and not be so obvious. So let's take that off and see what that sounds like with the whole band. Right on my heart and rise. You can hear it when I pause it at the end, that snare slaps a little bit. But now when I add in the room and the hall, again, it's helping me get that sense of space in a lot of little ways rather than one big thing doing all the work. If I've got a room, if I've got a hall, if I've got a band delay, those combination together give me a much better result. Let's have a listen. Right on my heart and rise in my heart. Come and make it your home. Deep calls out to deep. You alone are worthy. And there you can hear that tail of the delay at the end. So that's the tip for today. Get yourself a delay on your track, and I'm sending, if I could only send a couple things, I would send my lead vocal, and I would absolutely send my snare drum, because the snare doesn't sound much by itself, but when you add that crack in the delay, you hear that little bit of an echo, the snare sounds huge, and that's really what you want. But a lot of instruments can benefit from being sent to that delay unit. But again, I've got a low feedback. I've cut off my top and the bottom. I've tempo synced it. Oh, and I should mention, so this obviously is a track that, is just stuck there in time. I can play it back anytime I want. So what do you do when you're doing live? Well, many soundboards, especially digital soundboards, will have a button that you can either customize or that by default is called global tap tempo. That means that when you are putting your reverb unit in your slot somewhere, you'll see the button flashing. And as the band plays, you can tap that button in time with the band to get the delay to sync up. So if they go to the next song and it's a different tempo, it's okay. Just look down and tap it, get it to be correct. If they're not on a click and they get off, well, that's okay. Just go tap it again. So when I'm doing this live, I'll keep one eye down on the tap tempo to see how we are. And then if they get off, you just tap it 4 times, get back to work, and you're totally fine. So use that trick in your live mixes. Hey, I hope that helps you succeed in your live stream mixes. Stay tuned because we've got one more week, and I think this next one will be really fun for you. And by the way, make sure to go to blueprintsounds.com and get your team access to that free training, 5 elements of a full sounding worship team, so that your team can sound its best. All right, I'll see you next week. God bless and goodbye.